The Browns have some decisions to make as we enter the trade deadline here. In our realistic rebuild, the cap is starting to get tight and our re-sign options are limited. I thought long and hard about who we should potentially try to move on from via trade prior to the deadline. And ultimately, I decided that Linton, we're going to try and keep around. He could be a franchise tag target in this upcoming offseason. Myles Garrett, I'm still committed to trying to make him a lifelong Cleveland Brown, which pretty much makes these two guys the guys we're going to try to retain. We're not going to be able to afford more than that. We might not even be able to afford these two without making some moves. That's going to be bye-bye to Matt Gleason. So we won't be changing our scheme temporarily to increase his interest. He's going to be gone. That being said, I do not want to trade him. He is currently the 10th best center in all of football, and I feel like that's someone that you want to keep around in a season where we have Super Bowl aspirations, which at 5-2 right now, I think the Cleveland Browns do have those aspirations. The biggest, I think, decision making difficulty here is with David Njoku. He is certainly a very productive player for us. With these motivations, I believe we could find somebody that he would like to re-sign with. Do we move on from him? Again, this is a Super Bowl aspiration season. He was out earlier and we saw a pretty big game from the rookie that we drafted to be his eventual replacement. So I think more than Gleason, we kind of have somebody in place for him leaving. And so I'm more open to the idea of trading him. And I thought about it long and hard. And ultimately, I have decided not to trade David Njoku ahead of the deadline. I just think the Super Bowl window is something we really have to try and pursue. And Njoku has been our most consistent playmaker in these spotlight games. We watch all the playoff games. And so when we watch, Njoku does well. And it really helps our offense do well. And I want the offense to be as good as it can be come playoff time. And Njoku is a part of that. $34.5 million over 2 years is what Myles Garrett wants. And that is what Myles Garrett gets. That puts us all the way down to $14 million, less than that even, in terms of 2029 cap room without signing Lance Linton. We're going to start losing pieces, and it's going to be this off season. Myles Garrett was my number one priority. He's having a really good season this year. A big time dramatic victory over the Washington Commanders. They scored in the first quarter, did not score after that. Defense performed really well in this game. Offense, nearly 500 yards. Richardson, over 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Jahmyr Gibbs, perhaps his best game as a Cleveland Brown, yards-wise at the very least. He goes for 127 and a touchdown. Richardson, 44 yards at a touchdown. He's low-key an MVP candidate so far halfway through the year. Brooks Mason going crazy in this game. Remember that we do have I thought we had an injury, but maybe we didn't. Maybe somebody got injured in this game because Meredith did play, but the fact he only got 1 catch, maybe he was injured at some point in this game. Defensively, Gibson out there with 3 TFLs and a sack. Also getting a sack was Myles Garrett, freshly off his re-sign, and Sheldon Edens with an interception. Nice team all-around effort in this one. Let's hop into a matchup at home against the Dallas Cowboys here. They've also been a winning record team, 5-3 versus 6-2. pretty good NFC versus AFC matchup here. Don't get to see these guys all that often. So figured it's a good time to see how we match up against a potential NFC playoff team here at this point in the season. Cleveland has a nice opening drive going here inside the 30 after a pass to Jerry Jeudy, who hauls in another one here for 14 yards. Nice catch in traffic. With Diggs on the coverage, puts the Browns inside the red zone. From the 15, Richardson, this time finding Matt Driver. Gain of 8. He went to the ground on the catch. Maybe if he had stayed on his feet, he'd have gone inside the end zone, but we'll never know. Empty formation on second down. In breaker for Jeudy again. His third catch of the drive goes for 6. Picture perfect first drive. Got a couple good Jahmyr Gibbs runs in to start, and then that ball didn't touch the ground through the air. Richardson looking sharp. The Browns lead by 7. After a Cowboys 3 and out, the Browns are threatening again. In breaker for Matt Driver. Richardson been loving those in breakers so far in this game. Second and 5. Back to pass again. Almost intercepted. Thrown in the direction of DeMarcus Meredith, who had a pretty key third down conversion early on in this drive. But 3rd and 5 now for Richardson and the Browns. Plenty of time. He has the ability to survey the field and eventually get to his check down. Make that 100 first quarter passing yards for Richardson in this one. The Browns have been on the field for the majority of this first quarter. Gibbs could not find a lane. Stopped up at the 9. Press coverage, Matt Driver, top of your screen, all alone. The pass will go his direction. He breaks a tackle into the end zone for the touchdown. Strong running from Matt Driver. Extends the Cleveland lead to first quarter passing touchdowns. Look at that picture perfect pass protection Richardson had all day. Dallas's offense now looking to put their first points up on the board, and that's a good run by Jalen Wright. Maybe his best of the day, nearly picked up the first down. Instead, it'll be 2nd and half a yard. Wide open. Underneath is CeeDee Lamb. Enough to move the chains. Now, 3 tight ends on the field for the Cowboys. It's a give to right. Sheldon Edens gets put on the ground. A flag is on the play, but for a moment, it's a 14-yard run. Will be called back with a hold. One of the tight ends, James Killings. Awesome name, but not a very awesome play there for the Dallas tight end. 1st and 20. Browns send the blitz. Perfectly called counter play by the Cowboys. A little bit of a pick play in the man coverage behind the blitz. An explosive pickup of 16 puts Dallas inside the 20. Dak. That is incomplete. On a sit route over the middle. JOK. The man in coverage. 3rd down. Dak has time and just has to throw it away. The coverage was perfect on that play. Pass protection was there, but Dak could not find anywhere to go. This very talented Browns secondary does his job on 3rd down and will force the Dallas Cowboys to settle for 3. Over halfway now into the second quarter, and every single Browns drive has gotten into Dallas territory. A bit of an RPO. Picks up 6. Jerry Jeudy 5 first half receptions. Jerry Jeudy gets so involved in a lot of these plays, it makes me wonder if we should put Matt Driver in that spot. But speaking of Driver, his second touchdown of the day. A slot fade and nobody on. Dallas's defense had him picked up. A one-handed reception to add insult to injury. 3 first half passing touchdowns for one of the leading MVP candidates at this point in the season. A roughing the passer penalty by the Browns puts the Cowboys back in scoring range. Dak. Likely going to be a fairly pass-heavy rest of the game for the Cowboys. Now down 3 scores here. Trying to trim that lead before we get to halftime. Over the middle. Hauled in. For a solid pickup by Boswell. Getting into it a bit with Odafe Owe. In the red zone. Dak making a check at the line. Hand off there to the back. Right gains just a yard. 6 carries so far. Over 4 yards a carry. Right. Back-to-back carries here. And once again, just a single yard gained on the ground. That'll put the Cowboys in a passing situation on 3rd. This is where our defensive line likes to get some needed pressure here. Knocked away by JOK. Dak trying to find a man down the seam. But the coverage was perfect. And for the second time in this first half, the Browns defense stiffens in that red zone area. A big-time 27-yard Jerry Jeudy reception. All of a sudden, puts the Browns in territory to add to their total prior to the half. Going for it all to Meredith. But it is knocked away by Bland. Second down upcoming. 31 seconds left in the half. Cowboys bringing the blitz, and Richardson just has to throw it in the dirt. That might be only his second incompletion, though, at the half. 3rd down. Richardson. Underneath. Catch and run by Meredith. Now the Cowboys are calling timeout because he didn't quite get there, and this is what I like to see. The offense stays on the field. It looks like we might be running it on 4th and inches. We do. Gibbs, it looked for a minute there like he might have been able to break through that line of defense and get straight into the end zone. Just unable to do so. 19 seconds left. That'll be caught in bounds. And that's going to cost us a few points here on the board. Maybe we should have just settled for 3 there on 4th and inches. Could have been 24-6, but I don't mind us being aggressive there. Interception by Kalen Carson. The Browns had a little bit of a drive brewing here, but the Cowboys get a much-needed turnover now roughly halfway through this 3rd quarter. Let's see what the Cowboys are able to do after the turnover. Really needing to gain some momentum here. They go to the end around, and Myles Garrett's not fooled at all. Tackles him right at the line of scrimmage. No gain for the Cowboys on 1st down. That end around does not work in Madden 9 times out of 10, and that even might be a conservative estimate. Dak flush. He's going down. Garrett and Gibson will combine on the sack. Garrett the first to get there, but Gibson laid a really nice pop on Dak there. Surprised he was able to get up so easily after that. No 3rd down conversions by the Cowboys in this game was something interesting to see there. This will be hauled in, but well short of the sticks. So the Browns force a 3-and-out following that interception. Been a great game for our defense so far. Following the Richardson interception, back-to-back explosive passing plays have us in Cowboys territory once more. Meredith hauls this one in. Richardson over 300 yards again. It's crazy how much better our passing game has performed this year compared to recent seasons. That'll be a pickup of 8. Couldn't quite tell who that was on the reception. I think it was Judy. Under 3.5 remain here in the third. Fake the give to Gibbs, and running across is Matt Driver. He has it inside the 10. Look at this day from Matt Driver. A career day, 11 receptions. Has the 2 touchdowns. Could he go for the hat trick there? Left side of your screen in the slot. Looks to be matchup 1-on-1. It will go to him. He's stopped just short of the end zone. But that's his 12th catch of the ball game. 2 tight ends in the game for 2nd and 2, and Jahmyr Gibbs gets into the end zone. We're back to a 3-score game here in Cleveland. This Browns team is on a roll. This interception might have just sealed the deal here. Starting off the 4th quarter, JOK comes up with a pick. The Cowboys pretty much needed to be perfect for the rest of this game, and the turnover by the Browns defense could just be the final touch for another Cleveland victory. 31-20 will be your final. The Cowboys were able to get some garbage time touchdowns that'll make this game look a lot closer than it was, padding their passing stats in a major way there in the 4th quarter. Pretty brisk handshake between head coaches there. But Matt Driver, a career day. Richardson continues to be elite. And the Browns continue to roll. Looking at the player stats for this game, 350 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick for Richardson. Jahmyr Gibbs got injured at some point in this game. Had a pretty decent start, but kind of slowed down as the game went along, especially in the 4th quarter. We really struggled to close this game out on the ground. Matt Driver, 12 for 145, 2 touchdowns on the day. Jerry Jeudy, 8 for 99 and a score. Meredith, 6 for 77, and then just 3 for 22 for Njoku. Definitely, comparatively speaking, a quiet game for him. Sacks-wise, we had 2 on the day, and JOK had the 1 pick for the Browns defense. Oh, boy. That's not going to be a good injury for Jahmyr Gibbs. He's out for the next month plus with a forearm fracture he sustained in the 4th quarter of a game that was not close. Should the Browns have gone to their backups in this game, that's certainly going to be the topic on some radio shows this week. Another resounding victory this week against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who still only have 1 win so far this season, which obviously they're having a little bit of a rough time here. Looking at the player stats, Richardson continues to dominate here. On the ground, in the absence of Gibbs, we had Davidson go for 3.5 yards a carry, but he did put in 2 scores. Matt Driver stays hot. Another 2 touchdown performance. Led us in receiving. Not quite as many receptions as last year, though. Sacks-wise, our 2 starting edge rushers each get 1, and we get 3 picks on the day. JOK Edens and Brian Branch, the playmakers in this one. We've got a breakout scenario for Daniel Gibson ahead of our next game here. 4+ tackles for loss. Seems pretty insane. This is an X Factor upgrade. So I'm thinking if we can have a 2-sack, 3 TFL game, he's going to get a superstar X Factor this week. Let's see if he can get it done. Let's hop into this one and see if Gibson can get it done. Browns at home once more. Rocking the Color Rush uniforms for this Week 11 matchup against Robert Saleh, still coaching the team in this universe, and the New York Jets trying to get back up to 500 this week. It is worth noting this week that Donald Richardson is #1 in the NFL in passing yards heading into this matchup. Now, he's played one more game than a lot of players because of no bye week so far, but he also leads the NFL in MVP voting. Let's see if he can have another good game here today. Cleveland marching down the field here on their opening drive inside the 30-yard line. Richardson going for it all, and he's got Matt Driver for the touchdown. Cleveland Browns, what an episode Matt Driver is having. Really starting to break out. I've been concerned over maybe the connection between these two, if it was really there, but that connection is really heating up. And it is helping our offense in a major way. An explosive play by Garrett Wilson puts the Jets in scoring range until there's an interception. Brian Branch, his second interception of the episode, back to the 31-yard line. Jumped that route perfectly. And Brian Branch making some plays here in the second half of his second season in Cleveland. Just ran the route there, perfectly executed. As you can see here, Richardson has about a 39-yard lead over Glenn Davis. So the two quarterbacks that have been selected with the #1 pick in the draft have both turned out to be pretty good quarterbacks in the league this year. Driver in motion. The give is to Anthony Davidson. Be curious to see how he handles more of an RB1 workload in the absence of Jahmyr Gibbs. He doesn't really have the skill set you'd want out of a true RB1. That one complete over the middle to DeMarcus Meredith. We do have Jerome Ford, somebody we acquired back in the Ernie McFerrin trade to help Davidson if he does struggle. But I feel like this is a good time to experiment to see if he can handle, a heavier workload carry once it becomes time to move on from Gibbs. Caught over the middle, Matt Driver. Down to the 3. Broke the initial tackle, but there were more Jets defenders there to keep him from continuing his progress. Read option. Richardson diving into the end zone. Touchdown Cleveland, and much like the first game we watched, it's a quick 14-0 lead for the Browns at home. Jets once again in Cleveland territory. At the end of the first quarter, Strickland back to pass. Nearly got it intercepted again. Martin Emerson among those in coverage for the Browns. It is now 3rd and 10. Strickland back to pass. It is caught short of the sticks by a yard. What will the Jets decide to do on 4th and 1? Caught by Godwin, who was in consideration for Cleveland this offseason. But the Jets will settle for 3. This is looking really similar to that Cowboys game so far, where we also led 14-3 at one point. Sauce Gardner with an interception here. Has been a very defensive-minded second quarter so far. Neither offense has really been able to get much going. Some penalties were hurting the Cleveland on this drive until the interception by the Jets' number 1 corner. Browns trying to get something going here before we get to halftime. 36 seconds remain. Richardson trying to step up in the pocket, but Quinnen Williams there to meet him. He'll go down for a sack. The Browns will call their final timeout. That certainly lessens my confidence we'll be able to get anything going. Richardson on the money with that throw on the run, but tight coverage there, and Meredith couldn't haul it in. 3rd and 15. I wouldn't be surprised just to see a run here. They do bring in a heavier formation here. Quinnen Williams blows up the play. Just will call timeout, but they're not going to do anything with 20 seconds. Jets starting the third quarter very fast on offense. Took them only a couple of minutes here to get to the 35-yard line. Kirkland hands off to Breece Hall. A massive hole over the middle. The spin move. Still breaking tackles all the way down to the 13-yard line. Oh, no. Not Myles Garrett. He is headed to the locker room. Come on. We cannot bear a Myles Garrett injury. That'll bring Chase Young onto the field in his stead. Kirkland over the middle, and Bullock right there to meet him. This time a Jet shaking up on the play. Kirkland falling to the ground, but making the reception is Garrett Wilson. 1st and goal at the 2. Empty backfield for Kirkland. Back to pass. Wide open is Garrett Wilson. How do you get that wide open? From the 2-yard line, there's not much to defend. You got 12 yards to defend, and Denzel Ward's out there at the back of the goal line. I don't know what that defensive play call was, but I know I don't like it. Just trying to make this a 3-point ball game with a 2-point conversion here. This one's much better defended. Ben Folds will try to bring it back. He'll just get to the 10. But they'll make it 14-9 here in the ball game. The offense struggled a bit in the second quarter, but things looking good here on their first third quarter drive. As Meredith hauls it in inside the 20. 2 tight ends into the game for the Browns. Davidson in the backfield. Pass play. Richardson finds a wide open Matt Driver. Moving the chains once more. Driver continues his hot streak. Browns go empty at the 5-yard line. Would love a little bit of a QB draw here, but I don't think that's even in our playbook. At least I haven't seen it at all if it is. That one gets the Browns down to the 1. 5 down linemen for the Jets. To the air. Richardson thought about taking off, then thought twice about it, and it's going to result in a 6-yard loss. Williams there to meet him. I don't know what that was from Donald Richardson. Jets sending blitz, and incomplete in the direction of DeMarcus Meredith. Makes it 4th and goal. The Browns will send out the field goal unit, trying to make this an 8-point ball game. Chip shot is up and in. Jets trying to snap our win streak here. They've played us tougher than most teams have these last several weeks. A fan favorite, Underwood, into the game at defensive tackle there. He kind of got put to the ground. as the Jets gain a first down. Still in the game here, number 92. Lined up against the Jets' left guard. Brees Hall. Fairly minimal pickup on that carry. That's probably the last play of the third quarter here, and it is 17-9. Just 3 points in the second and third quarters for Cleveland after a strong 14-point first quarter start. The Jets do have a lot of talented players on their defense, and they've really tightened up to keep the Jets in this ball game. Kirkland, play action, has a man. Wilson diving into the end zone for the touchdown. The Jets are now a 2-point conversion from tying this game up. That was a really nice throw from Kirkland and a really nice effort from Garrett Wilson after the catch. Last time out, we held up on the 2-point conversion. Can we do so again? Kirkland, back to pass, and this game is tied. Townsend on the reception. Browns finally getting a good drive going here, down to the 22. Under 10 minutes to remain. Cleveland trying to retake the lead. Njoku on the reception. Catch and run. Down to the 7. Good play design there. Sauce Gardner is in the zone right now, which is a little dangerous. We're going to go to Matt Driver, and that's his third 2-touchdown game of this episode. Racking up the touchdowns. He is breaking out in front of our eyes, showing the potential he's always had to be one of the best receivers in football. Defense has been really good this episode, but starting to show some cracks here in the second half of this game. Kirkland on a little bit of a run here. This one will be incomplete. Jets trying to tie this game back up again, and that's a nice pitching catch. Another one to Townsend, who's had a pretty good game for New York. Pretty nice wide receiver, too, for this team. And then with Godwin, they've got a really solid trio. Stop route over the middle. Gains 8. Garrett Wilson once more, who's, of course, also had a very strong performance. We are under 6 minutes left in the game. The Jets are driving again. Picked off! JOK, he could go the distance. Past midfield, just one man to beat. He cannot do it. But he's down to the 28. A massive interception, the second of the day on Kirkland. Celebrating with his teammates with the biggest play of this game. Since the second quarter, most of the momentum has been with New York. But a score here could put this game away. Accidentally just hit the next play button, so we'll have to head back into the Simcast momentarily after this, unless it's a touchdown or an interception. It's Sauce's second of the day. Come on, man. He's in the zone. Why are you targeting him with DeMarcus Meredith? I know he was a touchdown machine earlier on in the season. That's just not the one-on-one matchup I'm targeting. It likely all comes down to this. The Jets driving again. Under 3 minutes remain. Kirkland, flushed out of the pocket. There's plenty of space to run, and he does. Gets a block, and he's inside the 20. What a block there. I don't know how many yards that just created. That's going to bring us... Oh, no, they get the snap off before the 2-minute warning. I was surprised by that, honestly. Now we get the 2-minute warning after a 2-yard pickup from Brees Hall. Press coverage across the board on defense. Kirkland intercepted again. Denzel Ward did not give up the inside cushion. And the defense comes up once more. A 3-interception game for Kirkland. A 3-interception fourth quarter. If you include both sides here. Our star-studded defense comes through again. I mean, you could definitely argue pass interference on that play, but it won't be me being the one arguing it. We are just a couple plays away from closing out this game. You have to go to the left side there if you're Davidson. The whole play is designed that way. He's blocking to the right side. That's where the terrible ball carrier vision and stuff that you get with a receiving back comes into play. And then he just gets stopped up by his own offensive lineman there. I mean, that was a really bad look for Anthony Davidson on back-to-back runs. If you're not an Anthony Davidson long-term fan, there's your evidence against him. That was a really, really rough look. Both those runs looked like the blocks were setting it up for at least some amount of yardage. So the game's not over yet, despite the fact that the defense has come up with 2 massive turnovers. The offense has been so awful that we just keep giving the Jets chances to come back and tie this game. Kirkland back to pass. Forced to throw it away on first down. There's Underwood there in his grill. Got Chase Young, Adafe Owe, Underwood, and Gibson along the defensive line. We need these guys to make a play or two. This is incomplete. Brian Branch in coverage. 3rd and 10. Kirkland back to pass again. Clean pockets. Has a man. Down to the 32. Jets running hurry up. The defensive pass rush has gotten nothing for us. 10 catches on the day for Wilson. 2nd down. Still no pass rush. And dangerous play there. Wilson took a big hit on the in-breaking route. Another 3rd down. 39 seconds remain. Kirkland intercepted. Bedfolds nabs another. And the defense continues to get the better of Paul Kirkland. He's not going to look back on this day very fondly. If you include the 2-point conversion, that's 2 on the day for Ben Folds. And I guess including the 2-point conversion, that's actually 5 interceptions on the day defensively. Luckily for us now, the offense has no chance of messing this up. All they got to do is take a knee and be done with this game. This was our worst offensive performance, honestly, in a while. We had a good first quarter. Really struggled other than that, especially in the fourth quarter. Just couldn't put the game away, but the defense, time and time again, answered the bell. They allowed the Jets to drive, sure, but they always came up clutch once they got into Cleveland territory. That results in a win for the Browns. Gonna be a 2-interception day from Richardson. Those are very rare these days. I will say 4 interceptions for Kirkland, so I guess the 2-point conversion interception doesn't count. Or maybe I'm miscounting. He probably did only have 4. But Davidson just 2.4 yards a carry. I think we might have to put Jerome Ford as our lead back until further notice. And Okay, yeah, so the 2-point conversion doesn't count because Ben Folds did have 2 interceptions in this game. 1.5 for Myles Garrett, who got injured, unfortunately, and a half sack for JOK. But the Browns' winning streak continues, and now 9-2 on the season. Unfortunately, Gibson unable to have the game that he wanted. An atypical game from you. What happens? Combination of not playing well and the game plan. It certainly happens. But hoping, of course, for more great games to come from Daniel Gibson. No way! Our win streak comes to a close. 7 straight wins is now over a 1-point loss. Is that like a go for 2 at the very end of the ball game situation? It kind of looks like it with that 15 fourth quarter points there to win the game instead of go to overtime. Cincinnati was 2-8 entering this game, so that's definitely a kind of move a 2-8 ball club would make. Really similar games from Burrow and Richardson. It was a duel between those two guys for sure. I also definitely forgot to make Ford the lead back going into this game, so Richardson got another big-time game. Morgan Quick always goes crazy against us, and guess who caught 2 more touchdowns? That's right, Matt Driver, 137 and a touchdown. He's definitely, if you just look at the games of this episode, he's been the best receiver in the league. He's over that stretch. He's had to have been. He's been so incredibly good. Defensively, we've got a sack for Mike Hall, just 1 on the day, and no picks of Joe Burrow in this one. Tough to have the winning streak come to a close against a division rival that we've certainly struggled against at times so far in this rebuild. And now with a very late Week 13 bye, that's going to be where we finish off this episode of the rebuild. Would have loved to keep that win streak alive heading into the next episode, but it was starting to get a little too good to be true. Matt Driver's ratings look so good already. Daniel Gibson. I've been trying to get him to be a scheme fit forever, but run stopper just always upgrades power rusher as well. But he's got really well-rounded ratings as well. It is very unfortunate that he has no desire in returning to our squad, and that's probably a player we need to start thinking about how we're going to replace him, because I don't know if we have the capacity to sign players that don't want to be here anymore. No matter what their overall is, it's kind of a sad thing to say, but it's kind of true if we're being honest. We really want to keep that scheme fit for Donald Richardson to keep that scheme fits motivation tag up. Linton will make sure he gets 87 overall. That makes him eligible 100% for a re-sign this offseason. More likely going to be the tag, but he's never really going to get higher interest than that. But if we can keep him for at least 1 more year, push the problem another year down the road, that'll be helpful for us. At this point in Oweh's career, let's try to keep his overall high. +2 power moves here, up to 29 years old now. This defense is definitely getting pretty old and expensive. Gleason, his last season as a Brown. Gotta make it count this year. We could have gotten some pretty good value, I think, for trading guys like Njoku and Gleason away. Decided to go for the Super Bowl run. We ended up going on a really nice run this episode until this very last week, but if we don't have any playoff success, then it won't really be worth not getting those valuable draft picks that are more valuable now than they ever have been. Cheap starting level talent. It's more important than ever. as we continue our upgrades here. Tony Stevenson, he's going to be up for contract soon. And another guy who just has no interest. Why did none of our offensive linemen want to stay? I worked so hard building up this offensive line, and now all of them just want to leave. So sad. Whaling gets +2 to his accuracy. Already such a good kicker. His depth chart has been revealed. I know there's a comment worrying that he would never play his 300 snaps. But he's had it revealed, I think, since the start of this episode even. So he got it pretty quickly. Now we're getting to more of the kind of role players on the team. DeMarcus Meredith, great preseason, great early season. But Matt Driver has kind of taken over as our stud receiver, which I, of course, have absolutely zero complaints about at all. Beverly thought of a guy who could maybe upgrade over in the offseason, but now he's looking like he's here to stay because I already have other offensive lineman holes that I need to fill. And I can only fill so much with limited cap space. And here's Xavier Underwood. Fan favorite here, +6 to finesse moves. Okay. Gets him up to a whopping 56. Does get him to a scheme fit, though, which is nice. But that is going to wrap up this episode of our Cleveland Browns realistic rebuild. 9-3 puts us atop the division. Oh, no. That loss actually put Baltimore on top. We are tied. Kansas City and Buffalo both at 9-2 so far. I mean, this is absolutely crazy stuff. Very, very competitive top of the AFC. I mean, every division leader right now has no more than 3 wins. So the top of the AFC looking really, really competitive. That's why I wanted to do this rebuild, because part of the difficulty was going to be the conference. So we'll see how things shake up down the stretch. A lot of pieces on the chessboard are going to move on that AFC playoff board in the next episode, which will be coming out soon. And I'll see you then. Go Browns.